Good evening, everyone. This is Phil Dixon coming back in for another day of another session, we might say, of this day in Black baseball history. Tonight, sporting my Grays uniform, and just thought I'd talk to you just a little bit about baseball, as I always do. I was thinking about these broadcasts. Boy, I've been running these since July, and I'm coming on practically every night with more baseball facts than I could remember. And man, sometimes I think about it and I say, boy, it really takes a lot to sit down and just talk to people about baseball. I'm talking off the cuff. These aren't sessions where I'm going and I'm cutting and reading a bunch of different things and preparing all that well. What I do is I talk. I talk to you and I bring knowledge, guys. I bring a lot of fire because this is the life I've lived and I can talk about it. And that's an amazing thing. If you ever get a chance to see one of my in person presentations, it's quite a bit different than what I'm doing here. And I received many standing ovations for those. And but I do come out and I use no paper, no paper. Here I am reading some baseball facts, but when I come in person, I'm not reading anything. I do a lot of poetry. I bring my trumpet along and play some things. If you go back and listen to some of my shorts, you'll see me playing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" or I don't know if I've actually put any national anthem on there. Played taps, many occasions. I put some of those on there. Most of them are short. So, but anyway, thank you for joining. If you like what I'm doing here, guys, if you want more of a serious type of program, this is a good place to be. We're serious, but at the same time, we have a lot of fun, right? So if you're joining tonight, let me know where you're joining from. And somebody says, hey, when I was a kid, I met Pumpsy Green. Oh, yeah, Pumpsy Green was the great Boston Red Sox player. Yeah, familiar with Pumpsy Green. Never met him, though, but I know a lot about his history and what he achieved in baseball. Yeah, he was a pioneer for the Red Sox. And as everybody knows, the Red Sox were the last of those old teams back then who were American League teams to integrate. So Pumpsy had the distinction of being remembered for that. So, yeah, so I'm going to give you some more memories that you might be able to cash in on tonight. So, guys, once again, if you're joining me, let me know where you're joining from. That's always fun. And also, if you feel free, you want to drop a question here because I'm going to open with a trivia question pretty quick. All right. So, let me give you my first fact, which has prompted my trivia question. All right. So, this comes from January 29th, 1896. And of course, today is the January 29th, 2026 edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. So, anyway, January 29th, 1896, brothers Walter and Hardy Grimes were brought before Judge Wheeler on a charge of assault and battery for beating up Pastor D.W. Smith of the United Brethren Church there in Lancaster, Wisconsin. So let me make sure I got that in here. Lancaster, Wisconsin. Okay. And Walter pleaded guilty and was charged $12.50. That was the penalty plus court costs. And he was put on parole for a year. Now, Hardy pleaded not guilty and was acquitted. Now, both brothers are members of the colored baseball team that played the Lancaster team during the past summer. Okay. So they were all of these crimes and this assault and battery occurred in what the newspaper called the Negro Settlement in Lancaster. So evidently they had a section of town where the black people lived. Now, what's interesting is, and this is going to be leading to my tonight's trivia question. When I grew up in a black section in Kansas City, Kansas, right along with a guy who played in the Negro Leagues named Eddie Dwight. He lived on the next block from my parents. On Tremont, we lived on 7th Street, and Tremont, I could look and see the back of houses on Tremont as a kid. So Eddie Dwight lived there within walking distance from my house. I could actually throw a rock and probably hit his house. He was so close. Eddie Dwight, who played for the Kansas City Monarchs, if you want to look him up. And so we lived in a section in Kansas that had a name, and these were sections where the black people lived. Now, earlier this week, I talked about Bingo DeMoss, who had passed away in Chicago, and he was one of the greatest bunters of all time, just an all-around player for many teams, starting with the Chicago American Giants. Most people know him from there, but he was playing with the Kansas City, Kansas Giants, my home team, and but he came from a section of Topeka, Kansas, that also was a black area that had a nickname too. So if you can give me the name of the area from Kansas City, Kansas, and the area from Topeka, you will be miles ahead of the average person who's following baseball. Now, some of you can go and Google this real quick and get the answer. But if you don't know the answer, hey, try that. Try that and see what you can come up with. All right. So that's my trivia question for tonight. And what I do is I'm going to finish this broadcast in about 20 minutes, and I'm going to go back and give you the answer to that trivia question. All right. Okay, let's go to another one. January 29th, 1913. The South Philadelphia Giants are organized for the 1913 season in a special meeting held at 1509 Bainbridge Street in Philadelphia. I always like to, when I get these addresses, to look up what's there today. And that's always fun for me. I don't know if you do this, but I like to see what's there today. And a lot of these things, these buildings are gone. I did look up where Bruce Petway was living in Philadelphia, or was it? Yeah, Philadelphia. And I did find that his apartment where he lived, and this guy passed away in like 1920 something, maybe, and he was playing there in 1908. It's still there. It's still there. It was one of those row houses. So you just never know what's there. So anyway, they had this meeting, and at the meeting, Captain Rube Barnes received a gold watch presented to him by a company in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, where he hit the bullseye promotion outside the fence. And a lot of these little parks, they would have a local company, and they would put up like a bullseye. If a player hit that, then you'd win something. So he actually won a gold watch, all right, for hitting that bullseye. And so members of the 1913 South Philadelphia Giants included George Collins, Joseph Markel, Henry Walker, Daniel Denby, Clarence S. Butler, Frank L. Lloyd, Rube Barnes, of course, William West, John Tuck, Edward Jones. Hey, Edward Jones, boy, it sounds like somebody's investing there. And William Bounds were the roster. Now, what's interesting there is that out of all those players, the one that most people will remember if you Google his name is going to be Rube Barnes, because he's probably the best known of that group. And he had played for the Brooklyn Royal Giants in 1904, had played for the Cuban Giants as well. Of course, he returned to the South Philadelphia Giants for the 1914 season. That is correct. Bull Durham did have that bullseye, but I wonder if did they get theirs before Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Now, Bull Durham, that was in North Carolina. Am I correct on that? But other places had it too. So Pottstown certainly had it. And man, if you hit that one, you got a gold watch. And that was quite the incentive to hit that sign right there, okay? So anyway, that is the South Philadelphia Giants around this time of year. Lots of teams are organizing. All right, then, let's go to a baseball player playing a little basketball. That's always fun because that happens this time of year as well. So you have George Goodwin File, F-I-A-L-L, a basketball/baseball player for the New York Renaissance. He dropped 17 points in a 67-29 win over the Passaic Hebrews in Harlem, New York. And File, who was born in 1900, died of pneumonia on April 12, 1936. In baseball, he played for the Lincoln Giants. Look him up, all right? How about this one? July 29, 1932, capturing a 32-27 victory in Watertown, New York. Once again, baseball player playing basketball. Forward, Clarence Fetch Jenkins scored 10 points, and Bill Yancey, a guard, dropped 6 points. Now, Yancey at the time was rated as the highest paid player in Negro basketball. And he was also a baseball player, and a darn good one, too. Played outfield for the New York Black Yankees. So he was a good one. He's somebody you want to look up. And also, He is in the Basketball Hall of Fame, what they call the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield, Illinois. I would love to see him get into the New York Sports Baseball Hall of Fame. I'm going to make a call on that and try to make that happen this year, okay? And so I might come on this broadcast and tell you how you can help me to make that happen, all right? Okay, so that was Fast Jenkins, the highest paid player, and a crowd of 800 attended that game. Now we're going to jump a little bit to July 29th, 1946, and we have John R. Wright, a pitcher, reportedly aged 27, said that he had signed with Montreal to play in the Brooklyn Dodgers farm system for that coming year, or for 1946 season. The newspaper reported that his only experience had been playing sandlot baseball in New Orleans. And of course, some newspapers said that, other ones said that he had played had a lengthy career with the Homestead Grays. In reality, his age wasn't 27, he was 29, going on 30. And he had played several seasons, like we said, with the Homestead Grays. And so they wanted him there because they didn't want Jackie Robinson by himself. And then they also wanted somebody there who, having more than one player, they could take some of the attention off of Jackie Robinson, and maybe he would be able to focus more. And I guess that worked because he was like the best player in the International League that year, right? Jackie Robinson. Let me get a drink here right quick here. So, okay. So this is baseball for real, man. We're having some more fun there, guys. Let me know where you're joining from. You guys, a few of you hanging in here, trying to get the answer to that trivia question. I just have a couple more. Okay, I'll give you two more. How about this? Tom Hall. This was January 29th, 1966. I actually saw Tom Hall pitch. Tom Hall, a pitcher, is drafted in the third round of the 1966 amateur draft by the Minnesota Twins. And he won 52 games between 1968 and 1977 for the Twins, the Reds, the Blue Jays, Mets, and finally the Kansas City Royals in my hometown. That's how I called him, right? So that was Tom Hall. I don't know if I actually saw him with Minnesota. I can remember going to my first Minnesota game. This was probably, I want to say like 1969, maybe 69, 70. And I always remember that because Bert Blyleven was pitching that game, and that was the first time I had a chance to see him play. So, anyway, that's baseball history, okay? So didn't know how much you knew about Tom Hall, and I have one more, and then we'll go give you the answer to the trivia question. Let me work out the sheet here so I can see everything here. All right, I'm almost ready. So, guys, once again, I'm just trying to make sure that as we talk tonight, guys, that you're getting a chance to follow me. I don't know why I'm having just such a problem bringing this out here. Okay, so here we go. All right, so this is my last statement of the night. Once again, if you like what I'm doing, please go ahead and subscribe. We're building a network here, right? So we got a lot of things going on. So here we go right now. January 29th, 1991. Outfielder Chili Davis is signed by the Minnesota Twins as a free agent. You probably remember Chili Davis, a great player. He ended his career in 1999 with the New York Yankees and had 2,380 lifetime hits. And let me give you an interesting fact about Chili Davis. His famous nickname came from a haircut his father gave him when he was a kid. And the local kids started making fun of him, saying that it looked like his father put a chili bowl on his head and cut around it. Well, yeah, they used to do that in my neighborhood, but we didn't call it a chili bowl. We called it a sugar bowl. So it was a sugar bowl in my neighborhood. And usually if your dad was giving you a haircut and he wasn't very good, you might end up with one of those kind of haircuts that basically was cut on the side. And it was pretty bad haircut. And my father used to cut my hair, and he was not good. And look, I'm going to go back even further. I remember the first time my father cut my hair, he didn't even have electric clippers. He had something you just do like this and cut the hair with some old school stuff. And man, I think I got nicked up pretty bad. And my mother said, you can't cut his hair anymore. And that was the end of my father cutting my hair. He used to take me to this guy named Mr. Carr. Now, I'm telling you, in the 60s, man, living in the black community, man, we had a ball. But he'd take me over to Mr. Carr's house, and Mr. Carr lived down the area in that neighborhood, which I'm going to tell you the name of. And he'd take you over there, and somebody said, "Ha ha, the Mo Fine look." Yep, yep, that was very true. It was pretty close to it. So we didn't have as much hair as Mo, but what we had didn't look good. So anyway, he'd take me over to Mr. Carr, and believe it or not, guys, I could get a haircut for 50 cents. Man, can you imagine that? I told my son that. I said, "Can you believe I got a haircut for 50 cents?" And I got that mostly through my childhood, probably through about the fifth grade, getting a 50-cent haircut. I don't. How much did your parents pay for your haircuts? I know we got some people on here. I'm 69. I'll be 70 this year. So I know we have some people on here close to that age. How much did you pay for your haircut? All right. So somebody said Tom the Blade Hall. Okay, somebody remembers him. All right. Somebody said they're from Hackensack, New Jersey. All right. Let's see. And then somebody said the Mo Fine look. That's right. Somebody said nice jersey. And this is Bob. Hey, Bob. Bob's joining me. Bob Poet. He's a good baseball fan, and he follows me really good. Hey, Bob, I have a trivia question. I'm going to recite it again. I'm going to give the answer. So anyway, let me finish with my Chili Davis. Then I'll jump back and go ahead and give you the rest. So anyway, we're talking about Chili Davis's haircut. That's how they got his nickname, from the Chili Bowl. Okay, and he was born in 1960 in Kingston, Jamaica. And when I was following him during his career, they would always say that he was the first Major League Baseball player to be born in Jamaica. And at that time, it was pretty good stuff, pretty on the point, pretty much on the point. However, since the statistics have been merged with the Negro Leagues and new players have been entered, now we're finding out that there was another guy from Jamaica. His name was Oscar Levis. And he was born August 7th, 1898. How about this? 62 years before Chili Davis. And he came from a town. It was, I'm going to see if I can pronounce this. It was Oracabessa. Ocabessa. Okay, I guess I'm saying Oracabessa in Jamaica. You can tell that, man, hey, Jamaica, man, my stuff is not good. All right. So anyway, we're getting there. So that is the update on the Jamaica player firstborn, right? So it's no longer Chili Davis since we merged the statistic. And most people don't know that I was part of that group that helped to merge those statistics. And I think it was about 30 of us involved, and about 9 or 10 of us who were actually doing most of the talking. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that Oscar, you spell his name, let's see, where is it? What I see it here? Levis, Levis. And he played in the Cuban baseball leagues, by the way. So now I never did play that baseball game. APBA, never played it. I saw some guys playing it, but mostly in my neighborhood, kids didn't play that. The kids didn't play that. It was kind of different in the African American community. They didn't play that. I don't think I ever saw a single black kid playing that particular game, but I know it's extremely popular and people still play it. All right. So let's go back to that trivia question, and then we'll close out. So we talked about these two brothers, and they were Walter and Hardy Grimes, who were brought up on a charge of assault and battery for beating up Pastor D.W. Smith of United Brethren Church in the Negro settlement in Lancaster, Wisconsin. And I asked my trivia question, can you name the Negro settlement that I came from and Eddie Dwight came from in Kansas City, Kansas? And also, since I talked about Bingo DeMoss earlier in the week, can you name the Negro settlement that he came from, along with Carol Ray Marthel? He lived there. Topeka Jack Johnson lived there. Can you name the settlement they came from? So I'm going to count. I'm going to say, I'm going to count down to 5, and then I'll give you the answer. Uh-oh, somebody jumped in there. All right. Somebody jumped in there. Bob, you're quick on the draw. It definitely was Rattlebone Hollow. That's where I grew up, in Rattlebone Hollow. Yeah, and we were not too far from the river. And so, yep, that was the area that I and Eddie Dwight grew up in, that area there. And we went to school in that area. Eddie Dwight went to the same elementary school I did. Um, and he went to the same middle school that I did. And of course, we moved away further, and I didn't go to the same high school that he did, but he would have went to Sumner High School, is where Eddie Dwight went, and middle school was Northeast, and the black school that was elementary school there, which was the tallest building in the community. It was Dunbar Elementary, named after Paul Laurence Dunbar. All right, so the area that Dink Mothel came from, Topeka Jack Johnson's Carol Ray Mothel, in Topeka, Kansas, was called Tennessee Town. That's what it was called, Tennessee Town. I lived in Topeka for a while, and I spent many days down in the area that was called Tennessee Town. All right. Somebody says, still want to visit the site of the Dwight family grill when I finally make it to Kansas City. Hey, you ready for something, a little trivia here? Um, Years ago, I was speaking to Miss Dwight, Georgia Dwight. She was one of my biggest boosters. And Miss Dwight, I said, you know what? I really wish I had Eddie's signature, and I just wanted to keep it for my collection. And she says, hey, I've got something for you. And she gave me the deed to the Dwight family restaurant there in Kansas City, Kansas. It was off of 7th Street. Back when I came along, they had closed that and it had opened up, is the Jayhawk Cleaners is what it was. It was a cleaners. But the building is still there. But if you go in, you just see the shell of the building. But the cleaners is still there, I believe. I have to go check that when I go to church. I go to church right around the corner from that, so I'll go and check that and see what's in the building. But for years it was Jayhawk Cleaners. Yeah, so yeah, I actually have the deed to that building. And it's interesting is when they opened up a kind of like a soda fountain and everything like that for the community. And believe it or not, Tom Baird lent Eddie Dwight the money to start it, right? And they started this restaurant there, and it was going very well. And then all of a sudden, because things were going so well, Dairy Queen opened up a restaurant across the street. And would you believe the black people stopped going to the Dwight business and started going over to Dairy Queen? And I remember talking to Miss Dwight about why they did that. And she told me, she said, I guess their ice cream was colder. Man, I'll tell you, but the people in these communities were cold. And that's the same thing they did to the Negro baseball leagues. Once Jackie Robinson went into the National League, they just deserted the black teams. And white and black just deserted those teams. And there's so many things I want to do and present to you. I just don't know where to start. But yeah, but if you actually get this information from somebody who really lived it and has studied it, and who revisits and is still doing things in the community where I came from, you get a completely different understanding. I know I attended First AME Church there, and Tobe Smith, I don't know, he was the original owner of the Kansas City, Kansas Giants. Tobe Smith's wife went to my church, right? And so we had a great history, but last year, I think, well, it was the year before last, I was able to write the papers up and work with some people at the state, and I got our church, which was built by all African American labor, and it's set over 3,000 people. As a matter of fact, they had the 1924, I think it was, NAACP meeting at my church, and I was able to get my church, First AME Church in Kansas City, Kansas, on the national and state historical places of historic buildings. So, guys, I'm still involved. I do things with baseball. I love baseball, but I love history, and I'm just trying to do my best to let you know that I'm real. I'm real. So, when I come to you with these broadcasts, guys, I wish that I had, I could take some time and come up with some great notes and all of that. But the main thing is, guys, I come back firing every night, just telling stories and telling information, giving you facts and data. And guys, I don't know any place you can get this kind of information on baseball that goes back 100 years. And actually, I'm thinking about maybe when the season starts, getting my Major League Press Pass again and start covering some of the current baseball. If that would be interesting to you guys, I will do it. All right. I love baseball, so it would be nothing to go out to the game and talk to some of the players today because they need to know that guys like me are out here, not just someone who's likes Negro League baseball, but someone who connect the history. So guys, you got the trivia question for tonight. That was Rattlebone Hollow and Tennessee Town. Tennessee Town, man. You had to be tough to live in Tennessee Town and Rattlebone, man. I'm telling you. So, yeah, I could give you some great stories about growing up in Rattlebone Hollow. So anyway, guys, it's been my pleasure, and I'm way over my time today. And I do want to thank everybody who's joining me. Be sure to subscribe if you like these kind of conversations. It's not the typical baseball stuff you're going to get on, the baseball channel, which I was looking at before I came in here and came online. And I do subscribe to that and listen to it all the time. But even sometimes I get bored because it's the same old thing all the time. So I'm looking for some hot topics. Was that Wendy Williams just to say hot topics? So these are my baseball hot topics. So guys, I want to keep on going because I can talk. Hey, look, I'm gonna have to get a drink here in a minute here. But this is Phil Dixon, and this is the latest edition of This Day in Black Baseball History. This is the January 29th, 2026 edition. And please come back and join me again. If you're going to pick this broadcast up by listening to it later on, hey, go ahead and subscribe, and we'll keep building this network, guys. I'm trying to get to, somebody said, don't beat up any pastors. Matter of fact, Pastor Carmine Woods, who is the pastor of my church, he comes on because his brother was a great baseball player out of Compton. They came out of Compton, and Pastor Carmine played baseball too. So if you ever see his name on here, just know that Carmine Woods and his brother went to Oklahoma State, and he made all kind of records up there. So yeah, so that does it for me. I can go on, but I better close it off for tonight because I have to come back tomorrow. So all right then. So thank you guys, and we'll watch the entire video in the morning. All right. Just know that there's no commercials in my video. So if you're laying in the bed like I do at nighttime, I put something on, and especially if it has no commercials, man, that's really perfect. So thanks for joining, Will. You boy, I'll tell you what, see if you can answer that trivia question and when you come on and send me an answer. Just respond. You guys, Will and Bob are really good at sending comments. So appreciate you guys so much. All right, this is Phil Dixon signing off, and hope the weather is good up in Hackensack, New Jersey. All right, take it easy, guys. Have a nice evening.